What happens when one of the biggest superstars in entertainment comes face to face with daytime television's most outspoken host? You won't believe what unfolds when Jennifer Lopez sits down with Joy Behar on The View, expecting a standard promotional appearance that quickly spirals into television chaos. This isn't just another celebrity interview gone wrong. This is a masterclass in how personal vendettas and professional jealousy can explode on live television, leaving millions of viewers stunned, and one A-list celebrity storming off set. Before we get into this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, because you're not going to believe what unfolds when these two powerhouse women clash in what became the most talked about moment in The View's recent history. Last night's episode was supposed to be a celebration. Jennifer Lopez arrived at the ABC studios, looking absolutely stunning, promoting her latest projects and what should have been a feel-good segment about her ongoing success in music, film, and business ventures. The audience was buzzing with excitement, phones out, and ready to capture what they thought would be another glamorous celebrity appearance. Little did they know, they were about to witness one of the most explosive confrontations ever broadcast on daytime television. From the moment Jennifer walked onto that stage, something felt different. While her fellow hosts Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah Haynes, and the others greeted her with their usual warmth and enthusiasm, Joy Behar's demeanor was noticeably cold. The veteran host, known for her sharp tongue and willingness to push boundaries, seemed to have something brewing beneath the surface. Her smile appeared forced, her handshake brief, and seasoned view watchers could sense the tension building even before the cameras started rolling. The interview began innocently enough, with the standard questions about Jennifer's upcoming projects, her recent ventures into skincare and wellness, and her continued success in the entertainment industry. Jennifer, ever the professional, answered with grace and charm, sharing anecdotes about her work ethic and passion for her craft. The audience was eating it up, laughing at her jokes and applauding her achievements. But Joy Behar was waiting, watching, preparing to strike. "You know, Jennifer," Joy interrupted mid-answer, her voice carrying that familiar edge that regular viewers know means trouble is coming. "I have to ask you something that's been bothering me for a while now." The studio fell silent. Jennifer's publicist, sitting in the wings, immediately tensed up. This wasn't in the pre-interview notes. This wasn't part of the agreed-upon talking points. This was Joy going rogue, and everyone in that studio knew it. "Of course, Joy. What's on your mind?" Jennifer responded, maintaining her composure but clearly caught off guard by the sudden shift in tone. Her media training kicked in, but you could see in her eyes that she was preparing for whatever curveball was about to be thrown her way. Joy leaned forward, that predatory smile spreading across her face that anyone who's watched The View knows means she's about to go for the jugular. "I've been in this business for decades, honey, and I've seen a lot of people come and go. But what I find fascinating is how some people seem to think they can reinvent themselves whenever it's convenient. You know what I mean?" The other hosts exchanged uncomfortable glances. Whoopi tried to interject with a redirect, but Joy wasn't having it. She was on a mission, and nothing was going to stop her from saying what she clearly had been planning to say for God knows how long. "I'm not sure I follow," Jennifer replied, her voice still steady, but with a hint of steel creeping in. Anyone who knows Jennifer Lopez knows that beneath that glamorous exterior lies a woman from the Bronx who doesn't back down from a fight, and Joy was about to find that out the hard way. "Well, let me be more specific then," Joy continued, her voice dripping with barely concealed disdain. "You've been everything, haven't you? Singer, actress, dancer, fashion designer, businesswoman, and now you're some kind of wellness guru? I mean, at what point do we start questioning whether this is genuine passion or just calculated career moves?" The audience gasped. This wasn't the lighthearted celebrity interview they had signed up for. This was becoming a public interrogation, and Jennifer Lopez was being put on trial by one of daytime television's most ruthless prosecutors. The cameras captured every micro-expression, every tense moment as the atmosphere in the studio shifted from celebratory to confrontational. Jennifer's jaw tightened, almost imperceptibly. Her hands, which had been gesturing naturally throughout the conversation, now rested firmly on the arms of her chair. "Joy, I think there might be some confusion here. I've been blessed to explore different aspects of my creativity throughout my career, and I've worked incredibly hard. "Oh, please," Joy scoffed, cutting her off mid-sentence in a display of rudeness that had even the production crew shifting uncomfortably. "Let's not pretend this is all about artistic expression. We all know this is about staying relevant, staying in the headlines, staying bankable. And frankly, some of us are getting tired of the constant reinvention act." The tension in the studio was now palpable. You could hear a pin drop as millions of viewers watched this confrontation unfold in real time. Jennifer's team was frantically trying to signal from the wings, but there was no stopping what had already been set in motion. Joy had crossed a line, and Jennifer Lopez was about to show her exactly what happens when you come for a queen. But this was only the beginning. What started as an uncomfortable moment was about to escalate into something much more explosive, as Joy Behar prepared to take her attack to an even more personal and vicious level. Completely unaware that she was about to push one of entertainment's biggest stars past her breaking point, Jennifer took a deep breath, her media training warring with her natural instincts. The Bronx girl in her wanted to shut this down immediately, but the seasoned professional knew she had to handle this delicately. Unfortunately for everyone involved, Joy Behar wasn't interested in delicate. "You know what really bothers me, Jennifer?" Joy continued, her voice taking on that sanctimonious tone that has made her enemies across Hollywood. "It's the way you've managed to convince everyone that you're some kind of self-made success story. But let's be honest here. How much of your career has really been about talent versus other factors?" The implication hung in the air like poison gas. The other hosts looked mortified. Whoopi's face went stone cold, recognizing that Joy had just crossed into territory that was not only unprofessional but potentially legally problematic. Sarah Haynes actually put her hand over her mouth in shock. The studio audience, initially confused by the direction of the conversation, was beginning to understand that they were witnessing something unprecedented. Jennifer's composure finally began to crack, and not in a good way. Her eyes flashed with a dangerous light that anyone who's followed her career would recognize as the moment Jennifer Lopez stops being accommodating. "Excuse me?" she said, her voice dropping to a deadly calm that was somehow more terrifying than if she had started shouting. But Joy, either oblivious to the warning signs or simply too committed to her attack to back down, pushed forward. "I'm just saying, honey, that some of us in this business have had to rely solely on our talent and hard work. We didn't have the luxury of other advantages to help us climb the ladder." The racial and sexual undertones of Joy's comment were unmistakable, and the entire studio knew it. This wasn't just professional criticism anymore. This was personal, ugly, and completely inappropriate. Jennifer's publicist was now frantically trying to get the attention of the show's producers, but it was too late. The damage was being done in real time, broadcast to millions of viewers who were watching one of daytime television's most respected hosts reveal herself to be something much uglier. "Let me make sure I understand what you're implying here, Joy," Jennifer said, her voice now carrying the full weight of her fury, though she was still maintaining enough control to speak clearly and deliberately. "Are you suggesting that my success, my decades of work, my multiple businesses, my achievements in music and film, are somehow illegitimate?" "I'm not suggesting anything," Joy replied with false innocence, but her smirk gave away her true intentions. "I'm just making an observation about how different people achieve success in this industry. Some of us earn it through years of grinding it out in comedy clubs and small venues, working our asses off for every opportunity. Others seem to have found different paths to the top." The air in the studio was now electric with tension. Camera operators were getting reaction shots of the audience, many of whom looked genuinely uncomfortable with what they were witnessing. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was a public humiliation attempt, and everyone knew it. Jennifer's hands were now gripping the arms of her chair so tightly that her knuckles were white. When she spoke, her voice was measured but filled with barely controlled rage. "Joy, I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. Are you, a white woman who's been handed platform after platform in this industry, really going to sit here and question how I, a Latina woman from the Bronx, achieved my success?" The racial dimension that had been simmering beneath the surface was now out in the open, and Joy realized she had stepped into quicksand. But instead of backing down gracefully, she doubled down in the most catastrophic way possible. "Oh, now we're playing the race card?" Joy snapped, her mask of professionalism finally slipping completely. That's convenient, isn't it? Anytime someone questions your methods, suddenly it's about race or gender instead of just honest criticism about your career choices. The studio erupted. The audience actually gasped audibly at Joy's response. Even the camera crew, trained to remain invisible and professional, could be seen exchanging looks of disbelief. Whoopi Goldberg, a woman who has navigated Hollywood's complexities for decades and has seen every kind of professional misstep imaginable, looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. Jennifer Lopez stood up. Not dramatically, not with theatrical flair, but with the quiet dignity of someone who had just been profoundly disrespected and was choosing how to respond. When she spoke, her voice was steady, clear, and filled with the kind of controlled fury that is far more intimidating than screaming. "The race card?" Jennifer repeated, her tone now ice cold. "Joy, let me explain something to you that apparently no one has had the balls to tell you before. I have worked every single day of my life since I was a child to get where I am. I have been criticized, dismissed, and underestimated by people like you who think they know my story better than I do." Joy tried to interrupt, but Jennifer held up a hand that brooked no argument. "No, you wanted to have this conversation on national television, so we're going to have it. You want to question my legitimacy? Fine. Let's talk about legitimacy. I built my career from nothing, in an industry that told me I was too ethnic, too curvy, too much. While you were getting handed opportunities because you fit a certain mold, I was fighting for every audition, every song, every chance to prove myself." The transformation in Jennifer was remarkable. The polished, media-trained celebrity had given way to the fierce, uncompromising woman who had clawed her way to the top of multiple industries. This was Jennifer Lopez unleashed, and Joy Behar was about to learn why crossing her had been a massive miscalculation. But the worst was yet to come. Joy, apparently incapable of recognizing when to retreat, was about to make the comment that would finally push Jennifer past the point of no return, leading to a confrontation so explosive that it would dominate headlines for weeks and forever change how people viewed The View. Joy Behar, with the kind of reckless arrogance that comes from years of believing her own hype, looked directly at Jennifer Lopez and delivered the line that would end her career reputation forever. "You know what, Jennifer? Maybe if you spent less time playing the victim and more time actually developing some real talent, you wouldn't need to rely on your looks and your relationships to stay relevant." The silence that followed was deafening. For a moment, it seemed like the entire world had stopped breathing. The camera captured the exact moment Jennifer's face transformed from controlled anger to pure, unbridled fury. This wasn't just an insult. This was a calculated attack on everything she had worked for, everything she had built, and everything she represented as a successful Latina woman in entertainment. "Are you out of your goddamn mind?" Jennifer's voice cut through the silence like a blade, her Bronx accent now fully present, and her composure completely shattered. "Did you just have the fucking audacity to question my talent while sitting there like some kind of comedy genius when your biggest claim to fame is making bitchy comments about people who are actually successful?" The audience erupted in a mixture of gasps, cheers, and stunned silence. Some people were recording on their phones, others were covering their mouths in shock. The other hosts looked like they wanted to disappear into their chairs. Whoopi was frantically gesturing to producers off camera, trying to salvage what had become an unmitigated disaster. But Jennifer wasn't finished. Years of dealing with exactly this kind of dismissive, racist, and sexist commentary from people who had never achieved a fraction of her success came pouring out in a torrent of justified rage. "Let me tell you something about talent, Joy. I have sold over 70 million records worldwide. I have starred in movies that have grossed hundreds of millions of dollars. I have built a business empire worth hundreds of millions. I have influenced fashion, music, and culture in ways that your bitter ass could never dream of. So when you sit there and question my talent, you're not just insulting me, you're insulting every woman of color who has had to work twice as hard to get half the recognition." Joy tried to respond, stuttering something about just having a conversation, but Jennifer was in full warrior mode now, and there was no stopping the avalanche. "A conversation?" Jennifer laughed, but there was no humor in it, just pure contempt. Is that what we're calling racist, sexist attacks now? A conversation? You want to have a real conversation, Joy? Let's talk about how a mediocre comedian with a nasty attitude gets to sit on national television every day and tear down people who are actually creating, actually building, actually contributing something positive to the world. The studio was now in complete chaos. Producers were running around trying to figure out whether to cut to commercial, the audience was on their feet, and social media was already exploding with clips of the confrontation. This wasn't just television anymore. This was a cultural moment. A reckoning that had been building for years. You think you can sit there and judge me? Jennifer continued, her voice now rising to a level that commanded the attention of everyone in the building. You think you have the right to question my legitimacy? I came from nothing, Joy. Nothing. I worked my ass off every single day to get where I am. And I did it while people like you were telling me I wasn't good enough, wasn't American enough, wasn't white enough to succeed in this industry. Joy, finally realizing the magnitude of her mistake, tried to backtrack. Jennifer, I think there's been a misunderstanding. No, Jennifer cut her off with the finality of a judge delivering a verdict. There's no misunderstanding here. You showed exactly who you are today, and so did I. The difference is, I'm proud of who I am. Can you say the same? With that, Jennifer Lopez did something that no guest in The View's history had ever done. She walked over to Joy Behar, looked her dead in the eye, and said in a voice so quiet yet so powerful that it carried throughout the entire studio, "You're a bitter, jealous woman who peaked decades ago and can't stand to see other people succeed. I feel sorry for you, but I'm done pretending to respect you." Then she turned to the audience, her demeanor immediately shifting to the gracious, professional entertainer they all knew and loved. "Thank you all for being here today. You deserve better than this. And so do I." Jennifer began removing her microphone, her movements deliberate and dignified despite the chaos surrounding her. The other hosts sat in stunned silence, unsure whether to try to salvage the situation or just let it end. Joy Behar looked like she had been hit by a truck, finally understanding that she had just publicly destroyed herself on live television. "This is exactly why this show has become irrelevant," Jennifer said as she handed her microphone to a stunned production assistant. "When you have to tear people down to feel important, you've already lost. I came here to share some positivity with your audience, but instead I got ambushed by someone who clearly has her own issues to work through." She gathered her purse and turned toward the exit, but not before delivering one final devastating blow that would be quoted in entertainment news for months to come. "Joy, I genuinely hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. Because whatever it is that's making you this miserable clearly isn't working. Maybe try focusing on building something instead of tearing people down. It might make you happier." With that, Jennifer Lopez walked off, The View set with her head held high, leaving behind a studio full of shocked faces and a host whose reputation would never recover from what she had revealed about herself that day. As the cameras finally cut to commercial, the only sound was the buzz of an audience that had just witnessed television history. Not the good kind, but the kind that exposes ugly truths and changes everything. Joy Behar sat in her chair, staring at the spot where Jennifer had been, finally understanding that her jealousy and bitterness had just cost her everything. The view from the top, it turned out, looked very different when you were the one falling from it.